Breaking it down in layman's terms today, I've got a special guest. I got Mark Fonseca from Pragmetrix Group. Now, Mark is a true business leader at heart. He runs multiple businesses, dressdemand.com, but today we're talking about Pragmetrix, customer loyalty, customer retention, customer satisfaction, working with your clients and customers, retaining customers for revenue growth, and a whole lot more. Mark, welcome in layman's terms.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me today.
Well, it's good to see you, Mark. I know we've talked a lot over the last few years when it comes to building relationships through business. You've got a strong background in sales, marketing, obviously the clothing business as well. But today we really want to hone in on Pragmetrix. And we want to talk about the inception of what you guys do from really a third-party research company that brings a lot of value to clients and customers, uncovering their needs and some of their areas that they need to improve on. So Pragmetrix, how was it born?
Yeah, that's a great story. It's very organic, really had nothing to do with it. But my ex-business partner and I were in a Vistage group, in a Vistage TA group. I had my clothing business, and he had a hydraulic hose company called Pertec. They did 24/7 hydraulic hose repair. So his value proposition was on 24-hour on-site service, and he would get there. They would fix the hose and get the equipment back up and running. So one day I get a call from Mike, and he is really upset, very upset. And I said, Mike, what's wrong? And he said, I just lost my biggest customer. And I said, well, tell me what happened. He said, well, I took my client out to lunch like a lot of people do, and we're having lunch. Ask him how things are going. He said, Mike, everything's going great. And he was literally driving back down 285 here, and he got a call from his service manager, and he said, hey, do you know that Volvo Rents is doing business with our major competitor, which was a company called Lumpkin? And he said, well, that can't be true because I just had lunch with a guy named Terry Duncan. He said, everything is great. He said, where did you hear that? He said, I didn't hear it. I'm watching it. So they were actually doing work on the property while he was having lunch with his customer.
So obviously there's a blind side in this. There's a shock value, and then Mike went on and brought you on for some project work, correct?
Correct. So Mike, being an ex GE guy and an operations guy, Six Sigma black belt, he had all the credentials. So he found out, and he went on this journey and started looking up customer loyalty, customer retention, and he came across this book by Bain and Company, or actually a discipline by Bain and Company called the Net Promoter System. So he buys the book. It's called The Ultimate Question. He reads the book cover to cover, and he called me up and he said, Mark, I want to hire you to do something for me. He said, I want to hire you to call my top 30 clients. And we went exactly by the book. So I called all of his top 30 clients, and the information that we got back was transformational for Mike. And that's really how the company was started.
Well, he hired you because you have a relationship, but he hired you because, well, phone presence, research, extensive sales background, and especially when it comes to sales and research, you got to have that discovery type question. So it wasn't like you just called anybody to call. There has to be some pedigree here because he trusted you, and he trusted you with his clients. Can you speak to that a little bit? I mean, you're just not hiring a third party call center here.
Right. That's really one of the aha moments that we had when I was telling one of my clothing clients about what we're doing. And he said to me, he said, Mark, yeah, I would trust you implicitly with calling my best clients. And that's when I realized that there's a lot of trust in what we do. We're typically calling the 20% of your customers that generate 80% of your revenue. And there's a lot of trust that goes into that. So we've done close to 4,000 interviews, calling everybody from the CEO of Safeco Insurance and Duke Power, all the way down to $10 an hour employees, and we've never had one complaint. So there is a lot of trust there. You really can't have anybody making those phone calls. It has to be someone that's comfortable enough to talk to a C-level executive and then also be relatable down to a 10,000 foot or on the ground employee.
Well, it's a little deeper than just mailing out a survey from a company trying to do research on their customers. You're on the phone doing the research, and I know it's a long process, and you're uncovering a lot of needs. Your position as a third party trusted advisor, so you're going to get the honesty, the direct opinions, whether they're positive or negative. You don't have a stake in the ground. Well, you do. You're trying to get validated research more than anything else. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're agnostic third party. We're like Switzerland. We don't promote or defend our client. What we're looking for is honest, candid feedback. Our tagline is the truth will set you free. So we're looking for the good, bad, and the ugly. And people feel a lot more comfortable talking to a third party than they would talking to someone's internal customer experience team. Because even if you call internally, your client, at least we've been told by the people that we've talked to, that even if they're called internally by their client or their vendor, they still feel there's an agenda there. Versus talking to somebody that's totally agnostic, they feel much more comfortable telling us things that they would never tell our client.
And the information you're finding is extremely powerful, whether you're uncovering a dissatisfied client or customer, or you're uncovering something that may be positive. Now, you also touched a little bit, and I've heard you speak on the Net Promoter Score, which is a recommendation of how likely you would refer another client to do business with you.
Right.
You're a little deeper with that. I mean, that's part of it, but that's just one part of the line of questioning with each individual client. When you're doing the research, how you must spend a lot of customized time with them, customized interview questions. That process, I mean, it's just not like you're winging some questions here. You do have, it's very customizable. Is that correct? I mean, you're really going in with that.
Yeah, it is. And the biggest thing is we don't use surveys. A lot of people, they really bristle and they don't like surveys. One of the questions that we ask our clients' customers, one of the last questions that we ask them when we're done interviewing them is, how do you feel about our client bringing us in to talk to you versus sending a survey? And I would say 90 to 95% of the people will say, this is so much better. I knew they were good, but I had no idea they were that good. It really shows how much they care about us and the relationship that we have. So the human contact is much better than sending an email survey. And then also on the questions, we actually only ask 3 questions, right? They're very powerful questions. And then our client actually sprinkles in 4 or 5 additional questions that they really want to know. But we only ask 3 questions, so don't want to inundate your customer. Our average conversation goes about 12 minutes and 42 seconds. But yes, so actually we help our customer. We have what we call a customer questionnaire design. We have, from the hundreds of questions that we've asked over the years and over the dozens and dozens of engagements that we've done, we have a list of questions, and we help our client developing the questions that we ask on top of the 3 that we ask.
You got it down to a science if you know the metrics of the average call time of what, 12 minutes and 42 seconds. I mean, it's a direct science. Obviously, it's not your first line of questioning. And I do like the fact that you said something really profound, that the actual clients that you are calling are more receptive to this than a survey. So they get the need, and it shows from the client that's issuing the research that, hey, we really value your opinion. We really want to hear from you. We want to hear the voice of the customer. And there's a lot of great information that you uncovered. At the end of the day, you want to uncover their pain points, their needs. Is there opportunities for more revenue growth or sales opportunities? Or are they about to jump ship and go somewhere else? I mean, I'm sure you've uncovered a wealth of information. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, we have. We've uncovered everything from um, one of our most recent engagements. We had one company that was about $40 million in revenue, and their top client, which represented 14 million of that, was about to leave, and they had no idea. But one of the things that they said to us when we called them is, since they brought you in, they obviously know they have some weeds in their garden. So we're willing to give them 6 months to improve their performance. They did give them that time, and they ended up renewing that account for another 3 years. Another another client, we found great news. One of the questions that we ask our clients before we call their customers is, what score do you think you're going to get? We use the 0 to 10 metric. And so we asked them, this particular company thought that most of their clients were going to give them 7s and 8s. Well, all their clients ended up giving them 9s and 10s. So we came back and they were really thrilled with the information that we were able to get from them. That was really gold for their marketing company, that they could actually take the customer verbatims and use them in their marketing campaigns to get new business. And it also helped their customers get referrals. And a lot of times we'll ask, if someone gives me a 10 and says that they really love our client, then we'll ask them, would you be willing to give them referrals? And they say, of course. So a lot of times we're actually finding new opportunities for our client, as well as the revenue risks.
I like that. And it's not survey driven, but you're really getting the true sentiment of the customer here. You're really getting directly what their feedback is, and that's powerful. And you talked about the positives, some of the situations where they need improvement. You hear the term customer satisfaction. Is the client satisfied? But really, customer loyalty, are they going to do referrals? Are they going to recommend your product, your service, or doing business with you? Can you speak to that a little bit more? Because I know I've heard you speak on that a little bit more, and I do have some thoughts on recommendations, referrals, and loyalty.
Yeah, there's a saying that says that we use customer satisfaction is useless, customer loyalty is priceless. And going back to the numbers, the 0 to 10 numbers, so how they work for a lot of people that don't know, the 0 to 10 scale. So 0 to 6s are called detractors. These are people that are trapped in a bad relationship. They're ruining your brand. They're not saying good things about you. They're waiting to leave. You're not getting 100% of their business. Then you've got your 7s and 8s, which are called passives. They're satisfied, but they're not loyal. If whatever problem they have, if the issue that they have is not resolved, then they're going to leave, and you're also not getting 100% of their business. They're satisfied, but they're not loyal. If something better comes along, they're going to jump ship. What you're looking for are 9s and 10s. 9s and 10s are called promoters. They're going to exhibit 3 behaviors. Number 1, they're going to continue to do business with you. Number 2, they're going to buy other products and services that you sell. And number 3, and most importantly, they're going to give you unsolicited word of mouth referrals and grow your business for you.
I love that. Referrals, unsolicited, more business. And at times, if they're extremely loyal, if there's something that's not really going in their favor, they might give you the benefit of the doubt or ride it through the challenge. And that's something that if somebody just is satisfied, hey, checked off at a 6, we're satisfied. But you know what? Your price went up. See you later. Bye. I mean, there's level of expectations were met, but the loyalty wasn't there. And I think that comes of customer advocacy, the referrals, the recommendations, and client retention. Because ideally, if I'm understanding, you want long-time clients and that referral basis, the extension of that revenue attainment.
Yeah, we have a saying that says the customer retention is the new acquisition, meaning you could hit all your sales goals or most of your sales goals for 2023 just in your existing customer base by going wider and deeper. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're always out there trying to get new business, but they're not focused on the existing customers that they have. And with the headwinds they say that are coming in 2023, your existing customers and customer retention is going to be more important than ever.
That's a great point. And, the customer satisfaction, customer loyalty all come into play. And I do believe that customer satisfaction is a precursor to customer loyalty. You still have to meet the expectations. However, customer loyalty is what we strive in business. Now, going through this process, you've inundated with a lot of clients and customers that you've talked to. What have you learned from this process, from the beginning of Pragmetrix until where you're at right now? I mean, maybe there's been a learning curve too from the research perspective, or maybe there isn't. I'd love to hear your thoughts on where you've grown.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. Whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your business, whether it's with your customers, people are people. What I've learned is They want the same thing as everybody else. The golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's really, at the end of the day, um, for us, is it's relationships. It's how do your customers feel about you, right? Um, Again, when you're talking about selling, people buy an emotion and they justify with facts. Well, emotion is so important to a lot of people in the relationship. If it's how your customers feel about you, how they feel about you after they get off the phone, after every interaction, how does your customer feel about the experience they just had with you? And the greater that experience is, the more loyal they're going to be. How do you handle your issues? Do you say do you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it? How's your communication? All of those things come into play with customer loyalty. And to the point you brought up earlier, loyal customers give you more grace. If there's an issue, you have a longer runway to make things better.
You do, and that longer runway leads to longer value of the customer or customer loyalty and being able to uncover those needs and continue that relationship. Going back to the word, it's all about relationships, and building those relationships takes time, dedication, and work, meeting those satisfactory issues, but building on that to a more customer advocacy and loyalty stage. I'm all about leveraging video, Mark, as you know from my
Mhm.
work, and leveraging the voice of the customer, better yet, the video of the customer. Where do you see that into play with, some of these clients you may have uncovered, positioning them, well, audio and getting information, but what about video and video testimonials? Have you uncovered needs for that with potential clients, or is that something that might maybe more in the works?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, with one client we're just finishing up with, actually, we just finished it this month. The one that was getting all the nines and tens, we're actually, what we ask, one of the questions that we ask is, since they're so happy with our client, would they be willing to give them video testimonials that they could use at trade shows and also to get more business? And they are happy to give them video testimonials, because when you have a happy customer, when you have somebody that loves you and are giving you nines and tens, it really is, it's amazing the lengths that they will go to promote your business.
I get all that visual social proof. Now, for an ideal client for Pragmetrix, I want to talk about, we got reaction state, being proactive. I'm sure the business was born on a situation where a client, they lost a key account. But what about, do you get clients that just want a temperature check? There's really no issues that they're aware of. And that's the key thing, is you're uncovering needs and areas that nobody knows about except for the client's perspective. But do you get companies that just want to do and then they're investing their time, but just a gut check to improve customer engagement, better employee relationship, not employee relationships, but customer satisfaction for that matter?
Yeah, the good CEOs out there, the privately held companies, the CEOs that really have great culture, they're the ones that they want to know. Our tagline is, "The truth will set you free." They
Hmm.
want to know what's going on inside their organization, because a lot of times, not only do their clients not want to give them bad news, but their own internal sales team they don't want to give the boss bad news either. So a lot of times the CEO doesn't know that they've lost an account until it's too late. That's where our tagline is we help CEOs from being blindsided by customer defections.
So more, it's not a reactive state, but more of a future state for being proactive. Uncover the needs before it becomes something that's not fixable.
Right. We talk about baselining your organization. One of the questions that we ask is, how loyal is your customer? Right. And the next question is, how do you know? You really don't know, because a lot of times your customer is not going to tell you, or your salespeople, or your VP of sales, or your marketing team, the truth, because they don't. It's basically human nature. People don't want to hurt your feelings. I always joke about, my wife's not going to tell me I'm putting on a few pounds, but she'll tell her girlfriend at the pool.
Exactly.
Right? So it's really just human nature. And I can't tell you how many phone calls that I've had where I'm talking to the customer, you hear the pregnant pause, and I'll hear that pause and I'll say, "Now, Doug, listen, you can remain anonymous if you want, but all we're looking for is the truth. We're looking for honest feedback for two reasons. Number one, to give you better service and ultimately give you a great customer experience. And then so a lot of times they'll say, okay, well, I'll tell you about that project or why that went south, or what this employee kind of rubs me the wrong way, or that's kind of when the truth will start coming out because they feel comfortable and they know they can remain anonymous if they want.
What I like about what you just said there is you're bringing value and insight and making it at a level that the customer wants to share that information. When you're doing the research for, let's say, Acme Company, hypothetically, when you're calling into that client and customer, are you obviously, you may be speaking to the C level, you may be speaking to users, you may be speaking to the marketing department. Are you hitting the gamut across the board? Because maybe in one sector of a company, everything is great. And maybe in one sector, the people that are maybe the users or the IT department, they may have a different story to tell. So are you trying to get a whole broad perspective? Because as you know, in business and within companies, one department may like it, like working with that particular client or customer, and one department's got a whole nother story to tell.
Yeah, we call that the iceberg of ignorance. And a lot of times the issues, we try to get three different levels inside an organization: a 50,000-foot level, a C-level executive, a 30,000-foot level, which would be a mid-level manager, regional director, area manager, and then a 10,000-foot level, which would be down at the front lines, someone that deals with your company on a day-to-day basis every day. Someone in the accounting department, someone in the sales department, someone in supply, someone in warehousing, someone that really knows what's going on. So that gives you really a wide range of feedback of what's going on inside your customer.
You definitely got that scenario down. You've got the actual call time down to minutes and times. Was it 12:47 and a lot more? You've obviously put in the research. You're a research-oriented company, solving company issues, but also find the truth within business relationships. Because as you stated, it's all about relationships. So, Mark, what else are you working on, or are you speaking at other events? What can you give me an update? Put it in Fonseca terms, in layman's terms. What's going on with you?
Yeah, right now our big push for 2023 is so looking at some other verticals. Financial services has been really good for us. Anywhere that there's long-term relationships where it's easy to leave. Um, so any kind of managed services, service providers that really have long-term relationships with their customers are really good clients for us. And also going back to something you said about surveys, what we have found and what our CEOs have told us is that the surveys that they use really don't capture the true sentiment of their customer. That and a lot of times what we have found is that surveys, they're gamed. Anytime that you tie survey results to incentives or sales bonuses, you're always going to get people inside the company that are going to kind of game the system. They'll call their customers and say, hey, we're going to be sending you a survey, can you give me a 10, wink wink. Car dealerships are notorious for doing that. When you're in there buying the car, before you leave, they're going to say, hey, we're going to send you a survey, would you mind giving me a 10? It'll help me with my bonus. So
Yeah, game in the system. And well, Mark, it looks like you've got a lot going on for 2023. And I love how you broke down your ideal client profile and you're looking to expand in more verticals. Is there anything else for our audience that you would love to share with us before we wrap this up?
yeah, one word of caution that we always make note of is the biggest pushback that you're going to get of bringing an organization like us in or bringing us in is from your sales and marketing department. Number one, the VP of sales is a little threatened because we're coming in and going to talk to their customers or their best customers. Being a sales guy, I understand that you don't want someone else on your account. But what happens is we become their best friend because we give them really the keys to the kingdom and find out exactly what it's going to take for their customers to buy more, buy other products and services, and give them referrals. And then the marketing team or the internal customer experience team is not crazy about us coming in because they think they're not crazy about the net promoter system, that they're not sure that that it's really relevant. But so that's really where some of those pushbacks are going to come from. But that's why we start at the CEO level. We have to go in at the top, and then the CEO drives it down into the organization.
Interesting. I'm glad you shared that insight with us because you look at it from one, you want to get the clients on board, or the customers of the clients, one, two, but you've got your own internal divisions and departments. And I could see that from a customer facing role where I'm not sure I want somebody, in there calling in the accounts, but you've got to help sell, promote, because at the end of the day, it's about finding that right information from your clients to improve those relationships, to build on customer satisfaction, but more importantly, that customer loyalty. Mark, I want to thank you for coming on layman's terms, keeping it social, leveraging video, customer satisfaction. Yep, better yet, customer retention, customer loyalty, working with your clients and customers. Companies like Pragmetrix and what Mark Fonseca does a lot for business relationships, but it helps keep your business flowing, building on business and more business. Mark, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Doug. Thank you for having me.